Hello, I'm Sophie Cox and I'm Chair of the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Council at RICO Europe. I spoke to Caroline Vanovermeire, who's the Global Director of Organisation, Leadership and Talent at Dentsu. We spoke about views on progress on equity and equality and gained her advice from women starting and navigating their career. What are your views? What does progress look like in terms of equity and equality to you?
Yeah. I think first what we need to do is have our ambition set high, and that means that we don't strive for diversity, we go after inclusion. What that means, in my view, is that we have representation across all layers and all roles. And as a global head of talent, the way we can make that happen is, for instance, if you look into succession planning and you look into readiness categories, you make sure that every category is moving from ready 3 to 5 years into ready now, right? The other lever you can pull is, that's what we do at Dentsu, is that making sure that for every leadership and talent development opportunity, that you have an overrepresentation of the underrepresented categories. And then another way is making sure that senior leaders know the difference between mentoring someone and really providing real advocacy. And when you combine that, I think that brings real skills growth and career progression. And that's the only way, I think, to address as well the gender pay gap, because the only criteria that, quite frankly, should matter for career progression is people's potential. And that you bring about, of course, if people indeed remain having their skills relevant and therefore see themselves making that progression in their organisation.
Thank you. That was a really great overview of the different steps. Thank you. And linking in, you mentioned about careers. What would be your advice in terms of women starting or navigating their career throughout their lifespan, actually, at any point?
Can I give 3 tips?
That would be great.
Well, my first one would be always build your personal board of directors. And for me, that could consist of people within an organization, but equally important is also to leverage, your network outside the organization, including friends and family, where you share what is your work, but also your life vision, right? And then you ask them to be co-accountable with you. And sometimes that means giving you advice. Sometimes that means as well being a comfort blanket. I know often as a parent or a carer, there are feelings of guilt, for instance, you're dealing with, and it's nice if you could have people that you could talk about it. Other times there's a real pivotal moment that you see as well, an opportunity for your career, and you need to feel confident, right? And you need to kind of ask for advocacy, and having these people then also rallying with you to make that happen. So that would be my first tip.
Okay.
The second tip would be, I think, choose your leader, your people leader well. Because I really believe that they have a disproportional impact, not only on your career, but also on your well-being and your overall fulfillment. And my last tip, it's really about branding yourself. And I work in advertising, right? So I would just like us all to be reminded of that iconic advertisement by L'Oreal. Do you remember it?
Of course I remember it.
Because we're worth it, right?
Yeah.
So when we have maybe a moment of self-doubt, or we're not quite sure, let's just kind of think of that and mute that inner critic of ours and say, because I'm worth it.
Brilliant. And a very positive message to end with. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the advice.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me.